Chapter 9. It was Kim, I said flatly, heading back towards the house. Who else could it be? Thad and Greg knew we'd be active tonight, Noah insisted, following close behind. They could have. Why would they warn us about the morning raid and then call in a tip about tonight? Claude asked. That makes no sense. Unless the warning was part of the setup, Noah shot back. Build trust, then betray us. I stopped at the back door and turned to face him. Noah, your mother has been trying to get into this house for months. She's been watching us. She knows there's activity here she doesn't understand, and she hates that she's been locked out. I couldn't bring myself to add that her actions were driven by hatred. She was still his mother. She wouldn't. But Tim had no such qualms. She reported you and Eden to the authorities, he said. For being impure. She'd report anything that would get Beryl in trouble. If Thad and Greg had anything to do with this, it will be them who organized the Marsh Street call to get the Grimms away. Noah's face went white. He opened his mouth, closed it again. Eden put a hand on his brother's arm. He's right. You know he is. This is exactly what she'd do. She let them into her garden, I said. That's how they got to our back door so quickly, over the wall between the properties. They didn't come through the house or down the alley. They came through Kim's property. Noah's shoulders sagged. Fuck. Language, I muttered automatically. For a moment no one moved, and then I pushed open the back door. Right. We've got maybe 6 hours to make this house look completely innocent. Move. We only had one chance to get this right. We scattered. Tim headed straight for the attic. Claude and Eden started on the conservatory. Noah, after a moment's hesitation, went to tackle the greenhouse. I stood in the kitchen, mentally cataloguing everything that required attention. The attic needed to look like an old woman's storage space, not a production facility. The conservatory and greenhouse needed to look messier, more amateur. The spare room where Iris had stayed needed to have all trace of recent occupation removed. I started with the kitchen, pulled out recipe books, scattered them on the table, found my old embroidery basket and dumped it on the table in the breakfast room. We had to make the place look lived in by one slightly dotty elderly woman and her quiet, nerdy lodger, and not a household of 5 running an illegal operation. The nerdy lodger appeared in the doorway, arms full of fabric. I'm moving all the muslin and gauze I found in the airing cupboard to the attic, he said. Making it look like you've been doing arts and crafts. Tie-dyeing, maybe. Good. What about the bottles and the scales and labels and all that stuff? All the spray bottles, empty and full, are underground. In case we've missed any, I've filled some with lavender water. If they test it, it's just scented water. Homemade gift stuff, I nodded. The measuring equipment? It could be taken out to the tunnel if you think we have time. They might say 6, but they could turn up earlier. Or I could turn it into a baking corner. Mixing bowls, measuring cups, all arranged with recipe cards. It could look as if you're really into making jam. I am really into making jam, I said. Or I was, before all this. He managed a tired smile and disappeared back upstairs. I moved to the conservatory. Claude and Eden had already rearranged half the plants, mixing Eden's medicinal herbs in with my ornamentals so nothing stood out. Eden was on his knees, scattering dead leaves and creating patches of neglect. Good, I said. Make it look like I can't quite keep up with it all, like it's getting away from me. The eucalyptus, Claude said. There's a lot of it. They might wonder. I like the smell, I said. Reminds me of holidays in Australia I never took. Old woman's fancy. They can't arrest me for having preferences. Eden sat back on his heels. We need to do something about her. About Kim? She's going to keep doing this, he said. His voice was flat, drained of emotion. Keep watching, keep reporting, until she gets us all killed or disappeared. We can't. Noah started from the doorway. Can't what? Eden turned to look at his brother. Can't defend ourselves. Can't protect our lives because she happens to be our biological mother? She's still? Still what? Still family? Eden's voice went hard. She reported us, Noah. She told the authorities her own children were genetically defective and should be removed from society. She chose the regime over us. What exactly do we owe her? Noah had no answer. I looked between them. 2 brothers who'd been through hell because their mother valued ideological purity over her own children. who'd nearly died on the streets because she'd chosen conformity over love. "We're not killing her," I said firmly, trying to sound totally normal. "I didn't say kill," Eden said, "but we have to do something. Neutralize the threat somehow." "How?" Claude asked. "What do you suggest?" Eden didn't answer. He went back to arranging plants. I left them to it and headed upstairs. The attic was transformed. Tim had shifted everything around, created what looked like a chaotic storage space full of half-finished projects, fabric everywhere, boxes of old books, a dressmaker's dummy wearing a half-sewn dress, embroidery hoops, knitting needles, balls of wool. "Where did you get all this?" I asked. "It was already here," he said. "In boxes. Your stuff from before. I just brought it all out." I looked at the dress on the dummy, recognized it. I'd been making it when the regime first rose to power, when we still thought things might settle down, return to normal. I'd never finished it. Never saw the point once it became clear normal was gone forever. "It's good," I said. "Looks convincing." The bathroom still smells of eucalyptus oil. I've opened the window, put out scented candles. "They can't tell the difference between hobby aromatherapy and medicine production," I said, hoping it was true. "We just need to make sure the story hangs together." Downstairs, something crashed. We both froze. Noah's voice, "Sorry, just knocked over a plant pot." I let out my breath. "Check the spare room," I told Tim. "Make sure there's nothing of Iris I've missed in there. Move the furniture around. Make it look like it's been empty for weeks." He nodded and headed off. I went back down to find Noah in the greenhouse, surrounded by broken terracotta and a littering of soil. "Sorry," he said again. He looked exhausted. I can't." He stopped, pressing his hands against his face. I touched his shoulder. "It's all right." "It's not, though, is it?" His voice was muffled. "My own mother, trying to get us killed, and part of me still wants to believe she wouldn't really, that there's some explanation." "There isn't," I said gently. "You know there isn't." This was not the time to soften the truth. He lowered his hands. His eyes were red. "So what do we do? First, we survive tomorrow's raid. Then we deal with Kim. How? I don't know yet." He bent to start cleaning up the broken pot. I helped him, scooping soil back into a bucket. "Eden's right, you know," Noah said. "We can't just let her keep doing this. Eventually she'll succeed. Eventually the authorities will come when we're not ready, or we'll miss something, or she'll report the exact right detail that gets us all executed." "I know. So, we'll handle it," I said. "But carefully, cleverly, not out of panic or rage. We can't afford mistakes." He nodded slowly. Claude appeared in the doorway. "The conservatory's done. What else?" "Front room," I said. "Make sure it looks like I actually live in there. Books out, teacups, blankets on the sofa, evidence of an old woman spending her evenings reading and watching the street. Maybe leave one armchair clear for the mousy lodger." He smiled. Tim was anything but mousy when you got to know him. I checked my watch. 3 hours until the Grimms arrived. 3 hours to make absolutely certain there was nothing in this house that could condemn us. I walked through the rooms, checking each one with fresh eyes, trying to see it as the Grimms would see it. Kitchen. Cluttered but normal. Breakfast room, lived in, comfortable. Front room, exactly what you'd expect from an elderly woman living alone, but for an unassuming lodger. Conservatory overcrowded with plants, but nothing unusual. Greenhouse, same. Upstairs would be fine. Tim was thorough. The shed was the risk. But there was nothing in there now except gardening tools and junk. If they looked underneath all that, though, we'd be finished. But why would they? Old lady. Garden hobby. Wellness check. They'd walk through, tick their boxes, leave. Unless Kim had told them exactly what to look for. But she couldn't know about the tunnel. I found Tim in the spare room, smoothing down fresh sheets. "I wonder how specific the tip-off was," I said. He looked up. "Pardon?" "The Grimms. When they were talking outside, they said someone reported unusual activity, people coming and going. But now I'm wondering if Kim knew anything about the tunnel or the spray production." Surely not. If she had, the Grimms would have headed straight for the shed, not the back door. So she just has a general suspicion, nothing concrete. Kim knows something's going on, but doesn't know what. She's guessing, trying to get the authorities to find out for her. That's still dangerous. It is, but it means we might be okay tomorrow, as long as everything looks normal. "The front garden looks fine," he said. From what I can see from the bay window, bit overgrown, but that's normal for this time of year. Nothing that screams illegal operation. Good. There shouldn't be either. We'd all been exceptionally careful about what happened outside the front of the house, out on the street side of the house. Noah appeared. The greenhouse is done, looks appropriately neglected. Eden came down from upstairs. Craft rooms set up. Attic looks suitably chaotic. And Claude. Bathroom sorted. I looked at them all. My household. My people. Exhausted, frightened, but still standing. Right, I said. Now we wait. Tim and I, that is. You lot grab as much as you can carry to make yourselves comfortable in the other space and get down there. ASAP. I don't want to leave you and Tim to it, Eden said. You have to. The only people officially here are the two of us. We'll be fine. We'll smile at the nice Grims, offer them tea, show them around our completely innocent house, and breathe again when they leave. And after that, Noah pressed. What do we do about Kim? I looked at each of them. We can't do this again. We can't spend every night wondering when she'll make the call that finally sticks, when the Grims will arrive and we won't be ready. So what do we do? Noah asked again, and this time I didn't have an answer that made me feel like a decent human being. But I had an answer. We take the choice away from her, I said, permanently. I carried the tea tray carefully down the ladder. Tim followed with another tray loaded with toast and jam. My hands were steadier than they'd been 2 hours ago, but only just. At the bottom, I could see 3 pale faces in the lamplight turned towards us, wary, expectant, but also relieved. Well? Noah asked before I'd even set the tray down. Nothing, I said. They found nothing. And suddenly the atmosphere lightened with 3 simultaneous exhales, shoulders dropping, Eden actually slumping against the wall. They were thorough, Tim added, putting his tray on one of the crates. Looked in every cupboard, every drawer, poked around the attic, the spare room, even checked the bloody airing cupboard. But, Claude prompted, but they saw exactly what we wanted them to see. I said, dotty old woman with too many plants, too many half-finished craft projects, and a passion for jam making. Quiet lodger who keeps to himself. Nothing illegal, nothing suspicious. They asked about the eucalyptus, Tim said. Commented on how much there was. And Beryl told them having it everywhere helped with her chest, Tim said. Doctor recommended it for the winter months. They nodded and moved on. I poured tea into mugs, handed them around. They checked the shed, lifted a few tools, looked at the shelves, didn't touch the junk covering the hatch. Jesus, Noah breathed. They had no reason to, I said. They were looking for people, for evidence of illegal activity, not for secret tunnels under garden sheds. This time, Eden said. This time, I agreed. We sat in silence for a moment, drinking tea that was too hot. The adrenaline was wearing off, leaving exhaustion in its wake. So we're safe, Claude said. For now. Until Kim reports us again, Eden said flatly. And there it was. The problem we couldn't ignore any longer. Noah set down his mug. We don't know it was her. Noah, I said gently. We don't, he insisted. It could have been anyone. A neighbor who noticed activity. Someone walking past who saw lights. The authorities have informant networks. The Grims came through her garden, Eden said. You heard Beryl, over the wall between properties. They had access to her house, her garden. She let them through. That doesn't mean. It means exactly that, Eden cut him off. Who else would give them that access? Especially at that time of night when she'd normally have been in bed. Who else has been watching this house for months, trying to get inside, asking questions about what Beryl's doing? Noah's jaw clenched. She's still our mother. She stopped being our mother when she reported us to the authorities for being impure, Eden said. His voice was cold. She made her choice. She chose the regime over her own children. Why is it so hard for you to accept that she'd do it again? Because if I accept that... Noah stopped, swallowed. If I accept that, then there's nothing left, is there? No family, no hope that maybe one day... There isn't, Eden said. Not cruel, just factual. There is no hope. There never was. The sooner you accept that, the safer we'll all be. I watched them, these two brothers divided by the same pain. Noah still trying to believe in redemption, Eden long past that. The question isn't whether it was Kim, Claude said. We know it was Kim. The question is what we do about it. We can't leave, Tim said. He was sketching again, his pencil moving across paper in short, precise strokes. This house, the tunnel, the space below, it's all connected now. We've put too much work in, built too much, hidden too much. And now we've got Thad and Greg to consider, I added. We share this underground network. We've established communication protocols. They're expecting us to be here. Could we move the operation? Noah asked. Find somewhere else? Start again? Where? I asked. You think there's another property with convenient access to a Victorian cellar system? Another house where an old woman and her lodger can live quietly without attracting attention? Another neighborhood where the blood sisters already know us and leave us alone? Noah had no answer. We're rooted here now, I said. For better or worse, this is our base, our production facility, our connection to the wider resistance network. We can't just abandon it. So Kim has to go, Eden said. The bluntness of it hung in the air. Go where? Claude asked. I don't care, Eden said. Anywhere but next door. Anywhere she can't watch us, can't report us, can't get us disappeared. We're not killing her, Noah said immediately. No one said kill, I said, though I wondered if that's what Eden meant. If that's what any of us meant when we talked about making her go away. The blood sisters, Tim said slowly. He was still sketching, not looking at any of us. They said they'd dealt with Iris, made her not a problem anymore. They could. No, I said firmly. We're not outsourcing murder. If we go down that road, we become exactly what we're fighting against. Even if it means our survival, Eden asked. Even then. That's easy for you to say, Eden said. She's not your mother. You don't have years of abuse and betrayal tied up in. You're right, I said. She's not my mother, but I know what it's like to compromise your principles for survival. To tell yourself that just this once, just this one necessary evil, and it'll be fine. I met his eyes. It's never fine. It's never just once, and you never get those principles back. Eden looked away, but he still muttered, We don't know for sure the blood sisters murdered Iris. So what do we do? Noah asked. Just wait for her to report us again? Hope we're as lucky next time? We remove her ability to report, Claude said. We all looked at him. How? I asked. The authorities have to believe her for her reports to matter, Claude said. What if they stopped believing her? What if she became unreliable? You want to discredit her, Tim said slowly. I want to make her irrelevant, Claude said. A known troublemaker. Someone who files false reports, wastes enforcement time, the kind of person they stop listening to. How do we do that? Eden asked. Claude smiled, but there was no humor in it. We make her report things that aren't there, multiple times, things the authorities can disprove immediately. We feed her false information, let her pass it on, watch her credibility crumble. She'll know we're doing it, Noah said. So? Claude shrugged. What can she do? Report us for making her look foolish. The authorities won't care. They'll just stop taking her calls. I turned it over in my mind. It was clever, non-violent. It neutralized the threat without crossing the line into murder. But it was also cruel, deliberately destroying someone's credibility, making them look unstable, untrustworthy, isolating them from the very system they'd allied themselves with. Then again, Kim had chosen that system, had weaponized it against her own children, had tried to weaponize it against her neighbors when it suited her. It could work, I said slowly. What has she actually seen? Claude asked. An old woman with a garden, a lodger who minds his own business, people visiting occasionally, nothing illegal, nothing provable. She won't have ever seen any of you. That was the whole point of the tunnel. So you didn't have to come and go via the front of the house where she'd see you. I suppose she might have glimpsed you in the back garden. Maybe. Not that any of you have ever lingered out there. What about me? Claude said. I'm here regularly. She must have noticed. She doesn't know you're her son's partner, I said. You're not illegal. You can visit an old friend when you want. The point is, Tim said, she doesn't actually know anything concrete. She's guessing, suspicious, but she can't prove anything because we've been careful. So we make her look paranoid, Noah said slowly. He didn't sound happy about it, but he didn't sound violently opposed either. We make her look exactly as unstable as the regime thinks elderly women living alone already are, Claude said. We just reinforce their existing prejudices. I felt uncomfortable with it. Weaponizing ageism and misogyny felt wrong, even against someone like Kim. but the alternative was leaving her in place, able to report us, able to bring the Grimms back whenever she chose. How would we do it? I asked. Claude leaned forward. We start small. Leave evidence of suspicious activity that she'll see, but the authorities won't find. Lights on at odd hours in empty rooms. Sounds that could be anything. Make her call it in. When the Grimms show up and find nothing, she looks foolish. Then we escalate, Tim said, catching on. Stage something more dramatic. Something she absolutely will report. Make sure it's gone by the time authorities arrive. She'll insist she saw it, Eden said. Exactly, Claude said. Over and over. The crazy old woman who keeps filing false reports. Eventually they'll stop responding. Put her on a watch list for wasting enforcement time. They might punish her, Noah said. They might, Claude agreed. Is that our problem? Noah didn't answer. I looked around at them. My household. My people. Planning to systematically destroy a woman's credibility, isolate her, make her vulnerable, for our own survival. There's another option, I said. They all looked at me. We could try to buy her off. Offer her something she wants more than she wants to report us. Like what? Eden asked. What could we possibly offer that would be worth more than regime approval? Safety, I said. Food. Medicine. She'd never accept, Eden said flatly. She hates us. She hates what we represent. She'd rather see us dead than compromise with us. Or we could try to scare her, Tim suggested. Make her afraid to report us. How? I asked. Anonymous threats. Messages. Let her know we know what she's doing, that there will be consequences. That makes us the villains, Noah said. We're already the villains in her story, Eden pointed out. Have been since we turned out to be queer. Eden was taking it personally again. I wasn't going to argue, but I was assuming Kim didn't know her children were here at all. The tea had gone cold. The toast sat unfinished on the plates. Above us, morning light would be filtering through the conservatory windows by now, touching the plants Eden had so carefully arranged. We have to decide, I said. We can't just wait and hope. Kim knows something's going on here. She's determined to find out what. Every day we don't act is another day she might succeed. I vote for Claude's plan, Eden said. Discredit her, make her irrelevant. It's clean, it's non-violent, and it solves the problem. I agree, Tim said. Claude nodded. Obviously. We all looked at Noah. He sat with his head in his hands, elbows on his knees. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely audible. She used to make me pancakes on Sundays, before, when I was little. She'd let me help pour the batter, said I was her special boy. No one said anything. I keep thinking, he continued, that somewhere inside her, that person still exists. The one who made pancakes, who called me special, who loved me before she knew what I was. That person's gone, Eden said. He spoke softly, trying not to be unkind. I could see he had tears in his eyes. I know, Noah said. I know she is, He lifted his head, looked at his brother. I need to mourn her, the mother we should have had, the one we lost. Eden's face softened slightly. Yeah, okay. I was pretty certain Eden had mourned the mother he should have had a long time ago. We could still support Noah through his desolation. Noah took a deep breath, letting it out slowly. Claude's plan. We discredit her, but we do it carefully. We don't push her into doing something desperate. We don't make her a martyr. We just make her someone that nobody listens to anymore. Agreed, I said. When do we start? Tim asked. I thought about the Grimms who'd just left, about their thorough search, about how they'd found nothing because we'd been warned, been prepared, about how we wouldn't always be so lucky. Tonight, I said. We start tonight.